everybody for being on our second girls golf call for our winter session. And happy 2021 for those of you who are just joining us for the first time this year. Tonight, you have more than just Coach Ann and Coach Erica and myself. We have an incredibly special guest joining us, girls. We have LPGA Tour player, Lindy Duncan. And we're so happy to have you on the call tonight, Lindy. Thank you so much for taking your time for us tonight. And I wanted to give you a little background on Lindy. She started playing golf when she was 9 years old. So I know a lot of our girls are about that age range, a little more, a little less. So she started playing golf when she was 9 years old. She played golf in high school and she played golf in college for Duke University. Lindy qualified to play on the LPGA Tour on her very first attempt. And playing golf is one thing, playing golf under pressure is a totally different game. So that is very impressive that she was able to do that. So like we already mentioned, if you have any questions, as she's explaining things and telling things about herself, please type them and we'll be sure that we get to them. And without any further delay, we want to welcome Lindy. So welcome, Lindy. Thank you. Love the background.
Yeah, I just actually took this picture tonight when I was on the golf course. This is my view, and I finish up playing. It's that's a lake by my house, so yeah, it's pretty nice.
Oh my gosh! Well, we hate you already. We're supposed to have snow tomorrow, so.
Oh my gosh, where are you at?
We are in Ohio.
Oh yeah, that's cold right now.
That is beautiful. So let's get started with you, Lindy. Tell us. So you started playing golf at the age of 9, and
yes.
Am I correct in knowing that your dad was the biggest influencer of your golfing, even starting golf?
Yeah, that's right. He's the reason why I started in the first place. I went to the local driving range with him. It was a Blockbuster Golf and Games, just regular driving range, heading off mats, and it was I liked it immediately. You know, I liked trying to swing and hit the ball, and so he got into it and he started, you know, playing at the local public courses, and he would take me along. And at first, I really liked, you know, just driving the golf cart, and I liked the environment of the golf course. You know, it's pretty. You've got trees, you've got animals out there, so it was it's kind of like just being in a really cool park. And I guess I just grew up a lot outside and doing things outdoors. So yeah, that's how it all started. And yeah, my dad got the golf bug, and we kind of worked together on my swing and stuff. Even today, we still do the same thing. So it's been awesome.
Awesome. Now you grew up in Florida, am I correct?
Yeah, South Florida, in a place called Plantation. It's just outside of Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, so you saw all kind of animals on the golf course that we don't even begin to see.
Yes, some reptiles that you don't want to get too close to. Those were the scary moments, but yeah, just all kinds of stuff.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, we don't have to worry about the alligator rule here. So
Yeah.
tell me, when you started out golfing, did you play with a lot of little girls, or was it a mix? Or when you started playing, did you play with any girls?
Yeah, it was definitely a mix. I would say after I started kind of getting into golf, took a few lessons. You know, my dad was working with me, started to see, you know, that I could play basically. We had in our county, Broward County Junior Golf. And so when I was like 10 or 11, I would go play these tournaments. And at first it was just a 3-hole tournament. And I played in the girls division, and it wasn't, I don't think it was by age. It was just by, you played in the 3-hole until you won, and then you went to 6-hole, and then you just kind of kept going until you got all the way to 18 holes. And I remember doing that for a few years. But yeah, I played with you know, a lot of those girls, and then I continued to play with a lot of those same girls even into high school.
Okay. So I was going to ask, so did you play for your high school golf team, I assume?
Yep, that's right. I played for American Heritage and Plantation
Okay.
for, I think, for 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And
Did you play for middle school as well? I know some of our girls play with their middle school team.
my middle school did not have a golf team. And then for a period of time in between, I guess, 7th, 8th, ninth grade, I actually did some homeschooling. So I wasn't affiliated with a school. But no, middle school, no golf. But in high school, that's when the golf team became sort of like my first experience with that.
Okay, okay. Tell our girls, what was the most challenging part of your golf game starting out? So you're learning to swing, you're having fun,
Yeah.
chipping,
Yeah.
pitching, putting. What kept you up? What gave you fits?
It was probably the swing and hitting the ball, because when you're trying so hard to get that thing to go straight, it just goes wherever it wants, and so I tried to, along with my dad, and I tried to figure out how to swing the best that I could for myself, and that was, to me, was the most fun part, was just hitting a shot, just the way you thought it should go, and seeing it kind of go high and, as far as possible, but, trying to keep it on the fairway and on the green. So, I mean, to me, that was like the most exciting thing, was hitting the ball and watching the ball fly. And also the most frustrating thing, because as we all know, it's hard to hit that thing straight sometimes.
Did you have a swing coach right away, or how old were you when you got a swing coach, or was your dad primarily your coach?
So when I was growing up, mostly it was my dad. I saw Martin Hall quite a few times up until college. He's like a super top teacher. He's in West Palm Beach, at Ibis Country Club. So it wasn't like a super long drive. I would go see him once in a while, and then my dad would pick his brains, and we would kind of just go from there. But that's pretty much it. It was always pretty much my dad, Martin, and then kind of as I got older, I kind of started to learn more about it myself as well, because I was just interested in it.
Okay, very good.
Very good. So when you got, see, how old were you when you got serious? So you were 9 years old, you're having
Yeah,
fun, you're learning your swing. When did you think like, okay, I'm really serious about this. It's now my passion. I want to learn more. I want to take an initiative and
yeah,
do what I need to do to learn.
yeah. I would say probably around 15 or 16 was
Okay,
when I started thinking about, maybe a future in golf.
cool.
Because I was shooting pretty good scores, and I felt like, I had still room to improve. And, that at that time, you kind of start thinking about college, and so that's kind of when it hit me. I was like, oh, I could go play for a really good college. And then after that, maybe play pro. So it was around 15, 16.
Okay. Did you do any other sports? Was it always golf?
Yeah, when before golf, I played pretty much every sport. My sister and I were always kind of outside running around. But yeah, I played organized team sports, mostly just soccer, probably up until the age of about 12. But that was what I loved to do. And then golf kind of came into the picture, and then I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting sport. I want to keep playing it, and it's a sport you can play for a long time. And even at 12, when I was playing pretty competitive soccer, I was feeling like ankle injuries and stuff like that. So I felt like, oh, golf's something I could play for a long time, which was very interesting to me.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure. A lot of our if any parents are on the call right now, they're probably thinking, yes, those injuries, diving injuries, all those kind of injuries can
Yeah.
control. So I mean, you recommend that, or what do you recommend for our girls? I should ask. When should
Yeah.
they start to focus on one sport or another?
That's a really interesting question. I think it totally depends on the individual, because I know I have some friends on the LPGA now who played competitive sports up until like almost college. All through high school, they either played basketball, um, or tennis. So, I mean, if you like doing it and you're having fun, I think you should just do as much as you want. I don't think you should limit yourself to only golf, especially like from an early age, like maybe before 10. And I say that because I think that the other sports helped me to develop athletic skills that you maybe can't, or it's just not as easy to develop when you're just playing golf. So I say if you're having fun, go for it.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So tell us, how did a Florida girl pick Duke University?
Yeah, that was an interesting time. I wanted to go to either University of Florida or I was talking with the Duke coach, Dan Brooks, and it was a really tough decision because part of me wanted to stay in Florida, and I loved, the University of Florida, being close to home, Florida weather, all that kind of stuff. But there was just something about Duke that I really enjoyed when I went on my visits. And it's a great academic school. And I kind of felt like it was a really great opportunity and I wanted to just go for it.
Perfect.
How did one of our attendees, Margie, wanted to know, how did you get the Duke coach to notice you?
Yeah. So I played in pretty much as many national event tournaments as I could. So AJGA tournaments are, probably the top way to get noticed by all of the coaches from around the country. Um, so I kind of started with, county golf and then moved into the like Florida golf. And then once I hit around 15, 16, it started to become like the national golf, trying to qualify for the US junior girls, the women's amateur, so those USGA events were big and I played pretty well in those. And, but yeah, I think he saw me playing. I think Coach Brooks saw me playing an AJJ event in Orlando. And so that's how it happened. And we got in touch and talked to him, quite a bit. And
Okay.
it was great.
Nice. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience playing golf in college? Are you still in contact with all people that you played with, or just tell us
Yeah.
about your time in college?
Yeah, actually, I talk to a lot of the people that I was around quite frequently, actually, and I see them a handful of times throughout the year also because some of the girls that I played with have stayed in golf. And then I try to keep in touch with Coach Brooks, and then my assistant coach was Jeannie Cho for 3 years, and Emily Bastel, who's now the head coach at University of Florida. So I had really great relationships with so many people there. But yeah, the experience of playing in college was really unique. You go to class in the morning, then you go to practice with your team, and then you do studying in the evenings. And trying to come up with a balance and time management for all those things was a big learning experience for me, and it was just a lot of fun. I mean, to travel to the tournaments, we played great golf courses in college. We just had so much fun, and what an experience. It's really a once in a lifetime type of experience, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Very nice.
How did playing team sports play into being like an individual now in golf?
Yeah, that's a really good question because golf is so uniquely individual. I mean, even in tennis, like you're playing against your opponent, so you sort of have to know your opponent. But in golf, it's just you and the golf course. It really doesn't. You have no control over what anybody else shoots. So it is very, very individual. So playing on a team in college was sort of like, it took me back to when I was a kid and playing on the soccer team and stuff because at the end of the tournament, you guys, all of your scores add up, and so everybody is included, and it's super important to have that camaraderie. And even though you're not playing with them in the tournament, you still want to be supportive, and you practice together and travel together. So there's definitely a lot of that. And I kind of missed it after I graduated. It was actually one of the things that took me a little time to get used to, was just kind of the transitioning from being on the team and with the team all the time to then you're traveling and you're much more so on your own. So that's part of that unique experience of being in college, and uh, definitely one that I think back on a lot. And I'm lucky that I still talk to a lot of the people that I was there with.
Okay. Was it hard to coach? One of our coach volunteers, Sue, wants to know, was it hard to balance being friends with your competitors, but still being competitive with them? And how did you handle that?
That's never been much of an issue for me, just for the sake of everybody's an individual competitor. And Growing up through the ranks, I mean, I have a lot of friends on the LPGA who I played junior golf with or college golf with, and coming up together and having the same experiences, it really, you have a bond that's, very unique. And we're like, especially on tour, like with some of my friends, we'll think back to our college days and be like, we went through so much of the same stuff and we relate to each other. And so that helps us um, kind of inspire each other to grow and to get better. So yeah, I mean, you are competing with them, and on the golf course it's pretty focused. You're focused on what you're trying to do, but in between shots you're just kind of having fun with your friends, and I always enjoyed that part of it.
Okay. Can you tell, I know you played on the Curtis Cup team for the US. Can you kind of tell everybody what that is and just tell us about your experience with that?
Yeah, Curtis Cup, super cool experience. Oh my gosh, it's USA versus Great Britain and Ireland, and there's 12 members of each team. And the USGA selects the US team. And yeah, I was so lucky to be able to be a part of that competition. They rotate every 2 years. They either play in the US or they play over in Great Britain and Ireland. And I got to go over and play Scotland with with the US team, and that was actually my first time playing golf internationally. So you just learn so much doing these cool new things. And a lot of the girls on my team are on the LPGA, and I see them all the time. So that was amazing. That was really, really cool. We didn't win, which is kind of a bummer, but it was a lot of fun.
What was the weather when you were there?
It was awful. It was the worst weather. No, well, I've played in some pretty bad weather recently. It was definitely top 5 worst weathers I've ever played in. One of the days it was so cold and it was raining so hard and it was so windy. You couldn't even use an umbrella. So the umbrella was gone. Actually, many people's umbrellas broke that
Oh.
day. So no umbrella. And then my partner Lisa McCloskey and we were so cold. We were sharing like a hand, like one of those things you stick your hand, like a mitten. We were sharing it as we were walking down the fairway. So that one day, I will never forget that experience. Definitely. So that, and playing golf and that's a whole nother thing.
Well, some of our girls tell me they don't like playing in the rain and the cold. So thank you.
Hey, I'm with you.
Nobody does, but sometimes we have to. It makes us tougher.
Mhm.
That's true. Yeah, we played in some, in North Carolina, some pretty cold weather, some rainy days, and yeah, you got to make the best out of it somehow. And yeah, there's a whole like art to figuring out how to play golf in rain, wind, cold. I have not figured out the cold. I'll tell you, don't ask me any questions about the cold. I am from Florida, and there's something about just playing in layers. You guys could probably help me with that. I mean, I need some help.
Well, sometimes you feel like the Michelin Man, but
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you
shorten
swing
your
like that?
backswing.
Yeah.
So tell us, we do have a couple questions. I know Anne's watching the chat, but what was, I believe I saw on your stats, your lowest round was 65?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Okay. So tell us, this is one of the questions I had. When you are shooting low and you're shooting low and you either know your score because you're good at math, I'm not, or you just know you've had a lot of birdies, the ball's dropping. How do you keep your focus? How do you stay in the game?
That's a good question. I think the more, times and experiences you have with those kinds of feelings, the easier it gets. It's one thing to do that in practice. It's another thing to do it in a tournament. So I think there's, a lot of that is about your focus and your concentration. And, for each and every shot that you hit on a given day, how much of your concentration can you give to that one shot at that one particular moment? And thoughts of the score or the results they seem to really take away from the process of hitting good shots. Because when you think about like, what do I do well when I hit a good shot? It's usually, well, I'm feeling my swing, I'm feeling the environment. I see my target, I see where I'm trying to hit it. I'm thinking about where I'm trying to hit it. How am I going to get it there? It's not really like you don't put pressure on yourself to hit it a certain way, and it's a lot easier said than done, especially when you're going low and you're going low. So that's something everybody just kind of has to feel out, I think, for themselves, and learn some tricks to keep themselves focused uh, for that one shot.
Good, thank you.
We've got several kind of questions relating to your practice. So can you kind of tell us what your typical practice entails, how much time you spend a day or a week practicing?
Yeah.
What percentage of time is spent on putting, short game, full swing, that kind of thing?
Yeah. You guys have really great questions, by the way. This is all stuff I still work on all the time, and think about the balance of how much to practice, how much to play. And it really varies depending on what you're working on. So, for example, I had to make a grip change recently with my putting, and it's taken me a long time to feel comfortable with my grip. So, I've spent more time putting than I normally do. And I like to putt, and I think it's one of the important things for me to practice. Uh, so I like to putt anywhere from like an hour to 2 hours every day. Um, I find it just fun. I love putting, and there's something mentally about putting, because at the end of the hole, your score is determined by the putt that you made, whether it was for par or birdie or bogey. So putting to me is a huge part of the game. So I like to practice it a lot. I would say it's really hard to over practice short game, because there's so much feel involved, and there's just different shots you can learn and hit. So short game, I would just practice basically everything inside of 100 yards. Like for me, that's my gap wedge, sand wedge, lob wedge, all the wedges, chips, putting, everything inside of 100 yards. I spend a lot of time on that every day. It is my job, so I try to get anywhere from 3 to 4 hours, I would say, a day for 100 yards and in, and then I try to get on the course and play. And then also, I like to do practice on the golf course. Hit some lag putts or do some chips on the course, because it's great to practice well, but you want it to translate over onto the golf course. So I like to mix it up like that.
Kind of along with the practice thing, one of our attendees, Lauren, wanted to know what technology do you use, or do you use any of the technology to track your swing, like TrackMan or Flight Scope or any of that? And then kind of what metrics do you look at on that?
Geez, what a great question. I do use I've had a TrackMan for a number of years, so I use that pretty much every day. But I use it in a very specific way, because I tend to be overly analytical, and TrackMan gives you a lot of numbers. It gives you a lot of information. So I've made mistakes in the past up until like last week with TrackMan, and you can, you know, pay attention to it a little too much. I think there is a feature of TrackMan that I really like, where it basically is like it's a game. It tells you, okay, hit it 120, and then it tells you, okay, hit it 150. And so you can randomize the shots that you're hitting, and then from that you can say, okay, well, I really need to work on my shots from 150 yards, or something along those lines. But I don't look at a lot of numbers with the TrackMan when I'm just hitting regular shots. I want to see. TrackMan has trained my eyes to be very aware of how the ball starts and how it spins. And if you know what it's doing, you can tell a lot about your swing by the ball flight, and you really don't need a launch monitor to tell you, but it takes time. And I've gone down a lot of rabbit holes with TrackMan. So I would say the technology is great, but using it wisely. I know I've talked to a lot of professionals about how they use TrackMan, and it's pretty common. I would say there's a feature of TrackMan called normalization, where it takes out wind. It takes out whatever conditions you're under on that day. It removes those conditions so that it's going to tell you how far your ball would have flown without wind. And I used to be very into that because I just wanted to know how far my clubs were going. But it takes away from the art of feeling wind and feeling the types of lies that you're hitting off of. And, you know, you can hit on the range all day on a perfectly flat lie. And then you get out on the golf course and pretty much for 18 holes, you're going to have uneven lies, crosswinds into the wind. You're going to be in between clubs. You're going to have left pins, right pins. You got to hit so many different shots. So that's why I like to combine the two and get on the course.
That makes sense. So Christina, one of our very good golfers, wants to know what do you do for your mental game? How do you get that stronger? What do you do to work on that?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I've been reading a couple good books about mindfulness, and I was kind of like type of person where I tried meditation and stuff like that, and I really struggled with it, and I just kind of gave up on it so many times. But I kind of feel like it's really important in golf to just be aware of what you're thinking and how you're responding to what's happening and to your own thoughts. And so I would say that that's a great thing to start looking into at a young age. Mindfulness, and for 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening, I just sit down for 10 minutes and I just focus on breathing, and it's really helped. It's kind of one of those things where it's hard to even kind of talk about, like, what it is and how it helps, but it's basically just trying to, I think, just trying to get to know yourself and get to know what are things that you can use within yourself to bring the best out of yourself. So I would say mindfulness, meditation, um, those types of things are what I've been interested in lately. And then I would say, going back in the past, I didn't do a lot of work on the mental game, and I kind of just relied a lot on just practicing and working hard. And I think that's fantastic and wonderful. But I would encourage all the girls to work on their mental games and try different stuff out. And there's a lot of great books. Not only about golf, but kind of just about like the stuff I was talking about, like mindfulness. So I would say dive in.
Lindy, are there any books you would recommend that have really helped you?
I would say there are quite a few. I read recently. There's a book. A lot of the stuff I read is just strictly like psychology. It really doesn't have anything to do with golf. So I can't really help you on like the golf psychology books. Like I've never read those. I kind of find them a little boring. Sorry, but if I'm not interested in it, I'm just not going to read it. So I know, what, that's just my deal. If you like that stuff, go for it. But I read the book I'm reading right now. I would recommend to pretty much anyone. It's 13 things mentally strong people don't do, and it goes through a whole 13 things of really interesting stuff, and she gives a lot of stories and backgrounds. So I would recommend that book.
Okay. We've got.
You don't know, Lindy's major was psychology, so that's why it interests you. Sorry, Ann.
That's okay.
That is true.
Yeah, we've got several questions or several people wanting to know, what is the favorite golf course that you've played on or practiced on?
Yeah, I mean, I've been so lucky, played so many great courses. I'm actually not really good with names of courses, to be honest. But Pumpkin Bridge is in Portland, Oregon. They have two courses there, and I really like I think it's the Witch Hollow course. That one always kind of sticks out. I've played some beautiful courses in California. Mission Hills in Palm Springs is probably one of my favorite courses. And then, thinking back to my college days, we played so many great courses. I love the course at Duke University Golf Club. That it's such a good course. So I mean, I could go on and on about courses. I'm just not very good with the names. So
Okay. Let's see, we got a couple other here. What can, Zoe wants to know, what can the girls do to practice golf at home? Maybe they're not out at the golf course or the driving range. What can they do at home?
yeah, so when I was growing up, I was really into indoor practicing. I actually did a lot of putting indoors. There's a lot of great putting mats that you can get right off of Amazon. And then I actually hit quite a bit indoors. That was sort of like my dad's thing. He loved building stuff. He built a great indoor basically hitting range for me, and we would video my swing, and that's kind of where it all started with trying to improve the swing stuff. And it was really cool to do it indoors because you don't have to worry about what the ball's doing. You're really just focusing on your swing and feeling your swing. So I would say definitely indoor putting work is great. You can work on your short putts, and that would be awesome. And then if you have space, I would say there's a lot of great like mats, that you can get on Amazon, and so many people I know, especially over COVID, have set something up, in their house and their garage and the backyard, and hitting into a net I find it can be super, super valuable.
Izzy wants to know what tips for what putting tips do you have? Kind of just maybe practice, drills. What can you give us?
Yeah. So I think putting is really all about speed control. So if you can look at a putt and have really good feel for the kind of speed that you want to see the ball traveling into the hole, and you can feel that. Uh, so I train with a lot of speed work. I'll do speed to like a tee, 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet. And so I'll kind of first just start out just trying to hit putts to that 10-foot tee. So I'm really training my eyes and my feel, and then move to the 20-foot tee, then to the 30-foot tee, and then randomize it, go 30, 10, 20, kind of go all around. And the goal is try to get it as close to the tee as you can. And then also another really good thing to do is to a tee or to a hole, hit your first putt a little too hard on purpose, and then hit your second putt, leave it short of the hole on purpose. And then for your third putt, then you're trying to hit it at your tournament speed or whatever speed that you like to try to make the putt. That's a really good way to work on your speed control. And then as far as like the stroke and the mechanics and stuff, I personally have always putted on a chalk line. So I'll find a flat part of the green, and I'll go from about 6 feet, and I'll pop a chalk line down, and then that way I don't have to worry about my aim. I'm really just focusing on the stroke and how the ball's rolling and how the ball is starting. So the chalk line for me just takes out some of the variables and the extra work of putting. So I find it really helpful because you can see the track into the center of the hole. So it really trains your eyes and your aim. And then I would just strictly use that for stroke work. So speed and stroke work. And then I would kind of do those two things. And then at the very end, just take one ball and go around for 9 holes or as many holes as you want and keep score, and kind of putt around the world is what I kind of always called it. So to me, that would be a great putting session.
Okay, very good. Tina wants to know, what's your favorite golf club? I know you kind of, maybe your putter's your favorite club, but maybe besides that.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Hey Tina, yeah, that's a great question. I would honestly probably my driver and putter. I hit my driver pretty good. So I like hitting my driver because it's on a tee. So you get away with you don't have to have such perfect impact into the ground. But yeah, I like to hit the driver. I like to see it fly, you know, as far as possible, the ball. So driver and
Very,
putter.
Do
very
you
good.
have that your
I-
least favorite and that you have to talk yourself into using? Because that's me.
Okay, I'm with you on that. My 3-wood is on the naughty list. I have a 3-wood. Yeah, I've been struggling with my 3-wood, and it really is an important club. For a long time, I think I just didn't really practice it that much. I didn't think it was that important, but you know, for par fives on the LPGA, it's really important to try to get as close to the green in 2 as you can. So, you know, I feel comfortable with my driver, but then when I have my 3-wood and it's time to try to get inside of 50 yards for the third shot, I struggle. So that's something I'm working on right now. I would say for most golfers, hitting a 3-wood off the ground is probably the hardest shot because it's the longest club, and you don't have a lot of room for error. You got to hit that thing in the middle of the face. So yeah, I'm struggling with that right now. I work on it every day.
Very good. Sharon wants to know what kind of self-talk do you do kind of with yourself after you've kind of had a blow up hole during a tournament? Like how do you kind of talk yourself off the ledge, I guess?
Yeah, well, from you've got to figure out a way to stay positive. There's something a lot of people, you know, get really down on themselves. They feel like they're not good enough, and I can definitely say from experience, I've done that to myself so much, and it's not beneficial in any way to get down on yourself or to talk negatively to yourself after you've hit a bad shot because if you really think about it, you're always trying to hit your best shot. Like you're not trying to hit a bad shot. And you have to remember in golf, there's lots of things that you cannot control. And some of the things you think you can control, like hitting it really straight every time or hitting it in the middle of the face every time, it varies from day to day. So you just, and that's part of like the mindfulness is sort of just accepting whatever is happening and just being totally accepting of it. It's much easier said than done because golf is so frustrating. But you know, after a bad hole, you've got to be thinking, hey, I've got to get focused for the next hole. This next hole, I could birdie it. If you have a bad round, it's the same type of thing. Hey, I've got to get ready for the next round. What do I have to do to try to prepare the best I can for this next round? Everything that's happened is already gone. I can learn from my mistakes and I can improve. And if you have that kind of perspective, you'll get a lot more out of your time than if you get down on yourself. And I'll tell you, I've my whole life I've struggled with that. So I have a lot of experience from that standpoint. And I would say changing your perspective, talking to yourself positively, and you know, one of the really simple things I think is just if your best friend had just hit a bad shot, you know, what would you say to them? You'd be like, "Hey, it's okay. You can go get that up and down." You know, like that's what you'd say to your best friend. So, you say that to yourself, and you're gonna feel a lot better.
Mhm. Okay. We've still got several questions, but we'll just give you a few more and then we'll wrap it up here. Did you ever have a feeling or thought that maybe you wanted to take a break from golf or just kind of walk away and be done?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, it's the kind of game where it's just difficult. It's just difficult at any level, and for sure, there's been times where I've thought, you know, maybe I would have more fun doing something else. But then at the end of the day, when I really think about it, I really love golf, and I've loved it my whole life.
Mhm.
And part of loving golf is loving the struggle, and then accepting that there's going to be times that it's not going your way, and looking at those times where like, what can I learn from this? You can learn something from every situation, and especially from making mistakes and failing. So I would say for sure I've experienced those types of feelings, but I always kind of go back to, gosh, I love the game. So that's
Very
been it for
good.
me.
Yeah. Somebody wants to know, have you ever had any hole-in-ones? And If so, how many?
Yeah, I was lucky enough. I had one in 2019 in an LPGA event with
Oh,
my
very
7-iron. I would say that's my third favorite club is 7-iron because I seem to have that club a lot on par threes. So I would say that was my first one in a tournament, and that was really cool. And then I've had maybe 2 or 3 just kind of by myself or just in practice. But it is just so cool to look in the hole and see that the ball has dropped when you were just hitting it from so far back. So it's the coolest thing.
Yeah. Okay. We still have like a bunch of questions, but we'll ask one more and then we'll wrap this up. What do you like to do outside of golf? Do you have other activities that you enjoy to do now, or
Yeah,
what keeps
actually,
you busy?
yeah. I mean, golf is definitely, takes up so much of my time, but I try to once a week go indoor rock climbing. I have a gym, a big indoor rock climbing gym, like 30 minutes from my house, and I just love it. I think it's so fun. It's great exercise, and I'll usually go with like a group of friends, and we just have such a blast. And that's been sort of a relatively new thing. I just started it a couple months ago, but I would say that, and then I've been trying to read more, and then other forms of exercise, whether it's yoga or just trying to get a little stronger, those types of things.
Very nice. I I think we'll go ahead and start wrapping it up. I know we have some other questions that didn't get answered. I think I tried to hit as many of them as we could. Coach Denise, you want to take over?
Yeah. Well, I think by all the questions that have been coming in and that we couldn't get to them all, I think, Lindy, you could see what a hit you were today for being on our girls golf call. So thank you so much. And will you be playing at the Solheim Cup this year in 2021?
Gosh, I hope so. I think I'll have to have a good start to my season, but we got a chance to play Inverness last year, and that course is absolutely fantastic. Hopefully, the fans and everything will be there. I mean, we don't really know what's going to happen, but will you guys be trying to head out there to watch?
Yes. It's kind of in our
Absolutely.
backyard. So we want to take our girls golf girls and other first tee kids. And we do want to do a road trip. So we'll be cheering you on. And know that we'll be cheering you on all the other times you're playing and we see you on TV. You'll have a huge fan following right here in Central Ohio. So
Oh,
so
thank
know
you
that.
guys so much.
And thank you so much for your time tonight. And we really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. You guys had such great questions, and I was just really lucky to be here. And I hope you guys all take care and enjoy the game as much as you can.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Very
All right.
much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.